Hey guys, Lee with All-J Speed and Custom here, and in this video we are building transmission cover and pedal surrounds on my 32 Ford. So the last video we did on the 32 Ford, we built the column drop out of 1/8 inch plate and then upholstered it in some pearl white vinyl with some gold buttons. We're gonna continue working on this area of the car, and in this video we are planning on building some surrounds to go around our pedal openings as well as a transmission cover. So the pedal surrounds are pretty straightforward. We're just gonna use some poster board and kind of make a template with the hole for the steering column and the hole for each pedal to go through. Where it gets a little bit weird is you got to make it in two pieces so that you can get it in and out. We're going to have one piece that comes down from the top and slides over, and then another piece that slides up from the bottom, probably overlapping a little bit, maybe a 1/2 inch or an inch or so. And that way with the two pieces you can surround both sides here. And that way you can get it apart when we need to work on the car. It is an early Ford. This car is 91 years old. We're gonna have to work on it eventually. Everything old does break. So after we get that done, we're gonna move on to the transmission cover. It's a little more intricate than that because we're gonna have to put a little bit of shape into it. It is not perfectly flat. The center of our K-member sticks up just, oh man, like 1/4 inch above the floor. Same with up here. We got about another 1/4 inch. And then our bell housing is actually poking through probably about a 1/4 inch as well. So we're gonna have to make that, put a little bit of a compound curve or so into that, a 3-dimensional shape. We'll focus on that later. For now, we'll do the easy part and get things going with this pedal. I've just got some regular old poster board here. I buy the pink poster board because it's the cheapest. So yeah, grab some scissors, a little bit of tape, start making our shape. I'm gonna start with the steering column hole first. I took a quick couple measurements and found kind of a ballpark of where it's gonna sit. This is a cutoff from that piece that we just made the column drop out of, so it's the same diameter as a steering column tube. I'm going to cut this circle out and then probably cut the template across there to get our 1/2 and 1/2, and then we'll have to tape it back together to get our final piece, but I don't know, it'll make sense as I'm doing it, you'll see. So I just went to turn the camera off from recording cutting this piece and realized that I just turned the camera on, meaning I did not record cutting this piece in half, but you get the idea. Okay, I'm going to measure from the bottom of the pedals to the top of the column is 42 5/8. So we'll call it 42 1/2 so that we got a little bit of wiggle room. 42 1/2, which is actually 2 1/2, but it says 42 1/2 on this piece of tape measure. So I'm going to cut this here now, and then that should give us our, from the pedals down. This also gives me another opportunity to refilm cutting this. All right, so we got this piece that goes there, and this piece that goes there. Now we can start building our template for the top. So you just watch me make little marks on here where the pedals sit. So we're going to transfer this to our top part now. And then we can cut our little slots. They're really tight on the template. I made them to the exact width of the pedals, but on the final product, we'll probably make it so we have like an 1/8 inch clearance on each side. My good friend Kevin had a 54 Chevy, and when he cut the hole like this, he cut it not quite big enough for the whole pedal to slide through. And every time he stepped on his brakes, the rod would drag on there, or the pedal would drag on there, and it would just make this sound every time. So then the pedals, I measured the thickness of them, and if we come up 1 inch, should be plenty. So we're going to cut basically little rectangles out of there now. All right, so now, when this is in the car, it should be like that, and we got our holes for our pedal assembly. I'm going to take one more quick measurement from the steering column, how far up we need to go, and then we can cut this off at that measurement. There we go, we've got our full template made up, so now we just need to draw on here a way that we can split this into 2 pieces now. Here's our piece out of the car and all taped back together into 1 piece. So originally I was thinking I'd make this in 2 pieces and maybe have a seam coming up to here, then across to here, and then over to here, up this side, over here, and over to here, so that we had 1 piece kind of shaped like that. And then this piece would come in from the bottom kind of shaped like that. But sitting here looking at it, I think it might be better to make it in 3 pieces instead. Just the way it is here, have 1 piece, 2 piece, and 3 piece, and each one of these pieces here along this edge right here and this edge right here, basically where the cuts are, the piece on the top will overlap it like a 1/2 inch. So this will overlap this piece here, and this piece here will come down and overlap. I think this way, even though it's making it out of 3 pieces rather than the 2, I think it will work better for just sealing it up. If we go this way, we're gonna have seams right here where the 2 pieces line up to each other. And I can't think of a way that we can get it to overlap to keep like engine fumes or road fumes or cool air out. I mean, we're gonna have a little bit coming through around the pedals, but the idea is to try to eliminate as much as possible. So by overlapping it, I think it'll just make for a nicer product. All right, I've got everything drawn up here. This is extended 3/4 inch to overlap, as is this. In theory, if my math is correct, these holes should line up with each other when it's installed in the car. The holes are a little bit close to the edge, but I had to do that on the backside here. I made a mark where the plywood floor ends. So I only had about 1/4 inch overlap, which, you know, will probably be fine. So I made my holes 1/8 inch from the edge. So we'll see how it works. I think it'll be okay. There's no structure or stress or anything on this. This is literally just to keep the draft from going up my pant leg going down the road. I'm going to attempt to cut this out of some 063 aluminum. I say attempt because I haven't actually cut this thin of aluminum on the plasma table before, so it's kind of a experiment to see if I got my settings right. I think it's working. This is the best tool I've ever bought. That almost worked perfect. That one came out good. That one came out good. This one got a little bit weird here, so I'll have to snip that out and grind a little bit off. And this one hole, I think I was maybe too close to the edge because that hole kind of blew out a little bit. But that's fine because it's just going to have a wood screw through it, so I'm not concerned about that. That worked out pretty nice. I think I'm going to run the bead roller along this one and this one to give them a little bit of a flange so that they, you know, step up and over instead of overlapping like that. I think it just might look a little bit better. It might change. Like I've got my holes in here already. It might change them a little bit because I didn't compensate for the little step down with the flange, but it's just aluminum, so we can hog those out a little bit bigger if we have to. That fits much nicer. They lay nice and flat on top of each other, and our holes still line up. There we have it. Our pedal covers are installed. Turned out pretty good. I'm quite happy with it. And our pedals don't rub anywhere, so we won't have the scraping noise as it goes through. Should keep the wind and the draft out of my pant leg. Around the pedals, when we go to do carpet and stuff, we can, you know, make the carpet come up nice and tight to the pedal, because there is still a little bit of a hole through there. That's inevitable. I mean, you need something for the pedal to go through. So, all right, on to the transmission tunnel, which will be a little more intricate. All right, transmission tunnel time. So I've taken a couple measurements off of the floorboards here to the shift tower to the emergency brake and transferred that onto some pink construction paper. I'm gonna cut this out now and see how it fits in there to make sure that my measurements are correct. The angle, the e-brake, I don't know if you guys remember when we did the video on the e-brake. The e-brake pulls on a bit of an angle. It's not square. So I kind of just guessed the angle. It's something like that. If it's not right, we can always, once we get an actual hole established, we can take some masking tape and go in there and make it correct. So let's cut this out, see how it fits. Just using just an X-Acto blade to cut this out. It's really easy on this. I know I've talked a lot about my little table saw workbench, but man, I'm so stoked on this thing. I can just put my blade up against the edge and make nice straight cuts. When I was drawing this out, you know, it's got nice square ends that I can put my square on to draw all our lines and stuff. This is the best free table saw I've ever had. Actually, it's the only table saw I've ever had, but it makes a fantastic workbench. and it's on wheels. One day I'm gonna lift it up. It could be about 6 inches higher. Yeah. All right, do the same thing on here, and then we'll test fit it. There we go. How's it fit? Not bad. I think I got her angle on this. Oh, maybe not. Maybe I didn't get it quite right. I put too much angle. But we can adjust that. Our shifter is pretty good. I might make it a little bit bigger. We need the shifter or the transmission to have a little bit of room to wiggle around while the engine's running. You don't want it touching this because it will vibrate. So let's open our hole up. We'll add maybe a 1/4 inch on this side, and we'll fix up our angle on this side and cut it out again. So I taped this down to make it, I made sure it was square first and then taped it down so it doesn't wiggle around. And I've gone on here and made notes. We're gonna add 1/8 of an inch to the opening on this side. The other 3 sides on the shifter were good. I used a piece of tape to correct our line there. We're gonna end our opening there. When we pull the e-brake back, it stops about there, so we don't need our hole to come this far back. We're gonna add a 1/4 inch on this end and add 1/8 of an inch on this end. I'm gonna pull it back out and then we'll make those adjustments, put it back in and see how it fits. I just realized as I was taking it out, I might have to make this opening a little bit bigger just to get, because it's got to slide over the end of the shifter or the emergency brake handle. Okay, add 1/8 of an inch on here. And we're going to add 1/8 of an inch on this end. And a 1/4 inch on this end. All right, cut this out again. I taped the old piece back in there just to give it a little bit of structure. Okay. It's a little too close to the edge to cut nicely. .2.0 fits much better. We got a nice gap around there that's not going to rub. Our shifter, or sorry, emergency brake fits a lot nicer now. I made this opening the same width as this, so it fits pretty good in there. Let's build some side pieces now. I'm going to make this 3-dimensional. We got to be about a 1/2 inch off the floor, so I think I'm going to, on each side, we'll have it fold down and then fold out with a little flange that can screw down. And I don't know if I'm going to make it completely 2 pieces or make it out of 2 pieces and maybe weld it together. Not sure yet. We'll cross that bridge later when we get there. So, speaking of making stuff, I want to show you something I made yesterday. This guy here. What is this? Well, let me show you. I know most people on this channel, there's a lot of people that are building hot rods at home. So this is for you Model A guys. You take this, put it in your bench vise, this line right here, and you fold it 90 degrees. Or if you got a brake, you can put it in your brake too. You fold it 90 degrees, and then you take that piece and you bolt it into your Model A rear cross member. This is a factory bolt hole right there. You bolt that in there, and then what that does is allows you to set your rear end up at ride height. I have dropped the rear end so that it sits right on here, and with it at ride height like that, now you can build all your suspension, set your suspension up with it at ride height and not have to fight with an awkward spring. Holding, 15 things at once. A while back when I was doing the build on the third wave Roadster, the Model A Roadster pickup that I was building, when I set the rear suspension up on that, I had blocks of wood, like 6 jack stands, a little dolly, everything holding the rear suspension in place so that I could build my suspension. Because when you build, you don't want to build it at the unsprung height. You want to build it, you want to set it all up for your final ride height. So that's what this does. You bolt it in there, drop your rear end in, and you can build your suspension. So those are on my website, lgspeedcustom.com. They're 40 bucks for a pair. I ship them flat like this, and then when you get them, you fold them over. Keep in mind on my website, all the prices, like when I say 40 bucks, it's 40 bucks Canadian. So I think like 60 or 70% of my viewers are American. So I think that's like 30 bucks American. So it's, I think they're worth the investment if you're gonna be building a hot rod at home. Anyways, enough of my shameless plug, let's get back to the 32. I've just cut out our 2 side pieces. This distance here is the same distance as our top piece. And then this distance here is the distance of the bottom of the floorboard where it comes up to the V that kicks into the toe board. So let's tape these on here and then we can fold it. I'm thinking we need to come up about a ½ inch, but I made this an inch with the idea that we can do it on like a 45 rather than a 90, just to make it a little bit less abrupt. There's one side, let's do this side. Fold it and see how it fits. I'm not getting super carried away. It's I find it kind of interesting as like a car builder that does everything, including upholstery, is there's some very talented metal shapers out there, way more talented than I am, that will shape beautiful transmission tunnels all out of one piece. They're just gorgeous works of art. But as someone that also does upholstery, the only people that ever see that beautiful transmission tunnel is the guy that builds it and the guy that does the upholstery. The guy that does the upholstery just covers it all up with carpet and nobody ever sees it again. So because I kind of do all of it, I know which things to get carried away with and which things not to, and transmission tunnels and stuff like that I don't get super carried away with, because once it's upholstered, you will never ever see it. That being said, like, I'm not gonna do a shit job on it and make it look like a piece of crap. I'm not gonna just bend some license plates in there and a couple self-tapping screws. I want it to look nice, but I'm not gonna get super carried away making this beautiful work of art, because I ain't got time for that. I got a whole car to build. That could take me a month to build a nice transmission tunnel like that. I don't want to do that. I want to drive my car. All right, let's bend this up. Just gonna do that over here in the sheet metal brake. All right, don't mind me crawling through the frame table here. I had that Model A frame that we were just looking at. I had that on this frame jig the other day, and I took it off the frame jig because I was done with it, but it was just monsooning rain that day, and I didn't want to move the Roadster and the 32 outside to put the frame table outside, so we just kind of like tucked it up against the wall. So it's a little tight in here. My shop is not that big. A lot of people have stopped by, and that's one of the, like, people that watch the YouTube channel, they'll stop by, and one of the first things they say is, your shop's way smaller. It looks so much bigger on TV. It's not a big shop. It's only 1,200 square feet. It is 25 feet wide, 50 feet long. So if you take your like standard 2-car garage. It's basically twice the size of a 2-car garage. Same width, but twice as long. But I make do with it. It's all I got. So, I mean, I could still get, I got what, 1, 2, 3, I still got 4 cars in here right now, plus all my equipment. Hey, I think that'll work. Let's go try it. Cool, that worked. Pretty much exactly as planned. So let's build a back piece now, and then we'll build a front section. For this back edge, I did the same thing as the sides. I folded it 45 and then put a little flange on there. I've just got this taped together. This is 1 piece, 2 piece, 3 piece, 4 pieces right now. But the way it is right now, we can cut that, push this flat again, and then we got a template to make this out of 1 piece. This break right here was determined by where this cross member pokes up. I just ran a little bit further back, and then that's where it folds down. There's no need to bring it, you know, any further back than we need to. So I think I'm going to make this piece out of metal now, and then we'll worry about the toe board piece. The toe board piece being this piece. We'll worry about that once we get this piece in. This cardboard it's a little bit flimsy, so it's not the best. Like if I go to make my toe board template off this template, this is I don't know, it's a little hard to keep it the same every time. So if we make one out of metal, then we can, you know, it's just a little more rigid. Here's what it looks like all mocked up in there, by the way. I just realized I forgot to show that part. So now we'll cut it apart and make a template. Probably radius these corners when we make the final one too. I'm gonna cut this on a 45. Like so. And if we hold this flat now, or push it flat, there's our template. So in the old days, I would transfer this onto a piece of metal and then cut it out in the shear and then cut all these holes in there, but I might just draw it up on the computer and cut it out on the plasma cutter because it's faster. Transferred all my measurements from here onto here. I've left this piece out because I realized as I was drawing this up that when I go to fold these ends, like if this is flat like this and I put it in the break, when I go to fold this corner over, it's gonna fold this piece too. I don't have a box and pan break, so that was not gonna work. So we'll cut it out without that bottom piece, and then we will make this piece separate. We'll fold this, we'll put them together and weld them together. Cutting this out of the same aluminum that we made the pedal covers for continuity. See how it fits. Wow. Perfect. Love it. Okay, let's fold the ends over. I think this piece we will make just in the shear rather than the plasma cutter, because it's just a simple, just cutting that shape out there. I'm gonna make it a little bit big. That way we can, you know, fold it and spend a little bit of time and make it fit and the fit and finish really nice so that we can weld it. So, like I said, we left this big so that we can trim it to fit. I'm gonna go on the back side now. I got a vice grip on one side to hold it. And we'll take this pencil and make a nice little line that we can trim it. Put a little kerchoink, and a little kerchoink. We'll see how it fits. Got it close. I'm going to finish it off with the grinder now. When you're prepping or sanding or cleaning aluminum to weld, it's always important that you use I always use a fresh disc. The disc that was on here, even though it's got plenty of life left in it, I was grinding steel with this. And if you grind steel with it and then grind aluminum with it, you're going to impregnate the aluminum with little bits of carbon from the steel, and that's gonna mess with your weld. It's gonna contaminate it. So if you use a fresh disc that's never had any steel on it, you're fine. Right up to our line there. How do you like my air fitting? That's new, and that was like the good one too. The extra money one. Buy this one, never change it again. All right, those corners fit pretty good now. So I've got this clamped in place. Let's try welding it up. It's been a long time since I've welded aluminum this thin. Well, there we go. It's definitely not my best aluminum welding. I think I got a little bit hot. It's been a long time since I've welded aluminum, especially aluminum this thin. This is 63 thou. So, yeah. But whatever, it'll work. Let's go see. Actually, we'll let it cool down a little bit. I also didn't spend a lot of time cleaning this, but we got good penetration. So yeah, let's let it cool down and then we'll see how it fits and then start our top piece. That fits great. I'm stoked with it. Actually, we should go this way. There we go. Make sure that our handle is centered in there. All right, do we screw this down now? Is there screws in the corners? Yeah, we can probably reuse the screws holding this stuff down. Okay, I think we're nice and square again. Our e-brake. Our e-brake is happy. Let's drill some holes and screw it down. All right. Top piece now. Hold on. One quick thing first. You got to stay tidy. Best tool in the shop. Okay, well, it's a whole week later, but we're finally back on this. Actually, this video's been a while. From the beginning of this video, when we were making the cardboard template for around the pedals, that was 3 weeks ago. So it's been really busy, and I haven't been able to get as much time in on the 32 as I normally do. But that being said, we're still moving forward. We're still making progress on it. So last week, we finished up this piece here. And then in the evening, I did manage to make up a cardboard template for the top piece here. So I think we're gonna take this off now, transfer it to some aluminum, and cut it out. I might just do this piece in the shear. It should be simple enough. There's no real weird curves or anything. This is the stuff that makes it so much easier to do in the plasma table, but because that doesn't have any, we'll just cut it in the shear. So we'll pull this out, lay it on some flat aluminum, and trace it out. There's our shape right there. Minus the kerchoink. This was just a scrap piece that was laying around. Where's this good spot? Probably right there. There's our aluminum piece all cut out, shaped, and fit in there. So I want to weld these two pieces together, but it's got to sit on that particular angle on that spot. So I think I'm going to drag the welder over here and I will weld it up, or at least tack it in the car and then take it to the bench and fully weld it up. Okay, this is super awkward, so I'm going to pull it out and do the rest on the bench. Well, there it is, all welded up. Again, my aluminum welding isn't as good as it could be. We had some pretty good contamination in this corner. I never bothered, I didn't clean anything. I just stuck them together and welded it, so probably my own fault. I think I'm going to radius these upper corners a little bit and maybe line this guy up here. Oh, by the way, don't stick your thumb in a 36 grit disc. It stings. So yeah, we'll straighten that up so that that's a nice even whoop mark. Punch a couple holes in there, and I think we're done. Gonna use an 1/8 inch drill bit again. And our screws. There we go. This transmission tunnel is finally done. Only took 3 weeks. Cool, we've got our pedals covered, our steering column hole covered, and now we've got our shifter covered. So I was thinking, you know, originally I was going to cover this in carpet, but I'm thinking about doing it in pearl white, but with tuck and roll. So this will all be, you know, the wood part will still be carpeted, but this will be covered in tuck and roll. Maybe the pedal covers, we might just do those. Tuck and roll might be a bit bulky on there, so we might just do just a straight wrap. Just with it being 3 pieces, it could get a little weird. But I don't know. What do you think? I think I'm gonna do it, but let me know what you think. Anyways, I'm gonna cut this video here because Shannon just bought a new car. Not a new car, obviously, an older car, older than her Comet. And she also just sold the Comet, or took a deposit on the Comet to pay for the new car. So we're gonna go pick it up right now. Wanna know what it is? You'll have to subscribe and hit notifications so that when the video on Shannon's new car comes out, you know all about it. Anyways, thanks for watching. Let me know your thoughts on this. See you guys in the next video. And as always, make sure to hit lgspeedcustom.com if you want to get some LG Speed and custom merch. Thanks everybody for watching. See you later.